Uber just dropped a crypto breadcrumb bigger than a surged price fare, and I almost missed it. So picture this, the very next time that you hop in a back seat, the money that you pay your driver could actually zip around the planet faster than the car that just cut you off. Now it might just shock you, but I am not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay, seatbelts on, let's roll. So here's the story, right? I'm scrolling headlines with one hand, balancing a lukewarm latte in the other, with kind of when Bloomberg's tech summit coverage nearly kind of spills my drink. Uber's CEO, that's Dara, casually kind of tells a room full of tech titans that he's tinkering with stablecoin payments. Now, my first thought was great, another Silicon Valley buzzword salad. But then, it clicks. This isn't just Uber flirting with the blockchain just for fun. This is Uber trying to solve a pain point that you and I never actually see, but the driver on Earth kind of feels it in their wallets. So here's a quick flashback, right? A few months ago, I was in Lisbon trying to catch an early morning flight. Now, the driver who kind of whisked me to the airport confessed that he wouldn't see his payout for almost a full week. Fees nibbling away at every single stage. So just imagine kind of finishing a trip and kind of waiting days to just buy groceries. That's cross-border payouts, right? Even worse, drivers in emerging markets get hit with conversion fees so brutal that they could actually make a banker blush. And that is why behind, this announcement, you've got eyebrows raising comments such as stablecoins. Now, why stablecoins instead of Bitcoin, I hear people ask? Well, Dara didn't mince words, right? Bitcoin's price swings like a 1980s mixed tape, right? Thrilling, but not exactly payroll material. Stablecoins, on the other hand, are the financial equivalent of cruise control, pegged 1-to-1 to fiat, usually with the almighty, if you will, US dollar, and backed by boring, but, blessingly boring, I guess, assets like cash or, treasury bills. Now, they kind of settle near instantly, right? Duck the kind of world's worst of the volatility and slash transaction costs that sneak out of every paycheck like mosquitoes at a picnic. Now, Stripe is poking around stablecoins too. Meta's dusting off its old blockchain blueprints. Tether wants an American-flavored stablecoin by the end of 2025, pending Washington's blessing, of course. And according to Fireblocks' State of Stablecoin survey, roughly 90% of banks, fintech startups, and payment processors have established stablecoin plans, and they are brewing. So when JP Morgan and Wells Fargo, start eyeing a joint token, that something seismic is shifting under the banking asphalt. But let's zoom back in on Uber, right? Just imagine Ahmed in cargo, or, in Cairo, I should say, finishing his kind of 15th ride of the week. Now, instead of waiting for a payout that kind of weaves through a maze of correspondent banks, the app actually just triggers a stablecoin transfer straight to his digital wallet. It settles in seconds with fees that wouldn't actually buy a stick of gum. Now, Ahmed kind of swaps those tokens for Egyptian pounds, right there in the app. Hops off to the grocery store and dinner's on the table before sunset. Now, for Uber, that's not just a shiny new feature. It is a retention rocket booster, right? Happier drivers stick around, riders get better service, and Uber actually keeps shaving overheads. Now, let me kind of share my own little cross-border fiasco with you, right? Last year, while covering a conference in, a distant land, I tried to kind of reimbursing, I should say, a local videographer. Now, my bank kind of stacked conversion fees so high that you would think that they were building a Jenga tower. Now, by the end of the pay, or at least by the end, I said by the time the payment actually cleared, the poor guy's camera lens was practically obsolete. Now, if stablecoins had been an option back then, right, 2 tapes done, 0 drama. And that would be the real world kind of itch here that Uber is actually trying to scratch. Now, of course, nothing is going to be ever that clean, right? Regulators are tightening their belts. In the US, the Genesis Act is carving out rules into, well, stone tablets so that stablecoin issuers can't go rogue. You got Europeans, MiCA, you got Hong Kong's licensing framework, Singapore's measured, embrace, and they're all kind of painting lines on the field, if you will. And Uber loves, painted lines. So clear boundaries, it does mean that you can unleash engineers without tripping over legal tripwires. But here is the curveball, right? Public perception, right? Mention crypto to your family at a barbecue and watch half the crowd reminisce about dog memes while the other half of them just side-eye you like you've invented some big Ponzi scheme, right? Uber is effectively trying to sneak crypto through the back door by stripping out the word crypto altogether. Stablecoins behave like digital dollars, so if the interface feels the same as Apple Pay, most riders won't care what's under the hood. They'll just know that they've got their driver paid on time. Now, I can already hear the skeptics at the back there, but Nick, what if the peg breaks? What about the disasters of algorithmic stablecoins? True, right? Terra's implosion still haunts the space like a ghost in the machine, but Uber isn't buddying up with experimental tokens. It's eyeing fully backed, fully audited tokens and coins. So think USDC, RLUSD, or a future JP Morgan-led behemoth. Assets kind of parked in boring treasury bills, daily, reports and the whole kind of 9 yards. Uber would rather, reroute every passenger in Manhattan than risk payroll chaos. Oh, and the speed of this thing? Traditional cross-border rails, as you probably know, feel like kind of mailing a check on horseback. Stablecoins move at internet pace, so that kind of speed isn't just convenience, it's actually liquidity. Now, Uber's treasury team can manage cash flow like a Formula One pit crew, instead of a horse-drawn cart. Okay, so let's go ahead and throw in some numbers from that kind of Fireblocks survey, because stats, they don't lie. Nearly half of the respondents said speed was their top reason for at least adopting stablecoins. Like, lower fees come in hot at number 2. Better liquidity rounded out the podium, right? That's the trifecta kind of tailor-made for a company juggling payments across 6 different continents. Now, while we're kind of revving the engine here, here's a quick pit stop. If you're hungry for deeper dives and free kind of chart breakdowns, then why don't you join our educational Discord server? The link is looking pretty in the description down below. Jump in, say hi, grab a front row seat to our kind of late night AMA sessions. There's no paywall there, there's no velvet rope, it's just crypto carnage served fresh every day. Okay, so back on the road, right? We announced, interest, why announce interest, I should say, at a kind of high-profile summit instead of maybe stealth launching it? Well, it's actually because signals matter here, right? By hinting at stablecoin integration, Uber sends a kind of bat signals to regulators, bankers, and potential partners. We're serious, come and talk to us before we ship code. It's kind of like previewing a blockbuster trailer to secure red carpet sponsorship before the popcorn actually starts, well, popping. There's also another layer, right? Uber isn't just a ride-sharing app. It's a global logistics beast. You've got eats, freight, even micro-mobility. Cross-border vendor payments, courier settlements, restaurant payouts. Stablecoins would weave through every branch of Uber's money tree. Each limb trimmed kind of saves millions every single year. But Uber, they won't do this alone. They'll lean on payment processors already cozying up with stablecoins. So think Stripe's rumored bank chats, right? Partnerships with Uber let kind of offload the heavy lifting of custody, compliance, and on and off ramp headaches. Uber focuses on user experiences, while the back end hums along like a well-oiled machine. And that there is the dream scenario. A nightmare? Maybe, right? A patchwork of regulatory surprises, say Europe blesses stablecoins, but the US trying to drag its heels. Well, Uber ends up in a kind of semi-functional system, right? Drivers in Berlin get paid instantly, but Los Angeles will still have to wait 3 days. Now, Uber's going to obviously push hard for global harmony here, lobbying behind the scenes to keep those rails consistent. And right here comes the aha moment for regular crypto users like myself and yourself, right? If a mainstream giant like Uber integrates stablecoins, it kind of sets off a domino effect, right? Smaller gig economy apps will follow suit to stay competitive. Payment networks like Visa and MasterCard double down on their own tokenized experiments. And before you know it, the term stablecoin fades into the background, much like HTML disappeared behind the kind of glossy websites that we love. Okay, so here's a storytime climax, right? Imagine landing at Tokyo's airport, right? And Uber fare auto converts from US dollars to a dollar-backed stablecoin, right? Pings the driver's wallet within seconds, and the driver instantly swaps to yen for a midnight ramen run, if you will, right? Now, you never touch a currency exchange booth, right? The driver never loses a slice in hidden fees, and the Uber doesn't juggle a messy international banking maze. Now, that little ride becomes a microism of borderless finance, if you will. But let's not crown victory just yet. There's trust to be earned here, right? Circle, Tether, and future bank-issued tokens, must maintain ironclad audits. Smart contracts require bulletproof, security. Nobody wants a hacker siphoning off drivers' salaries because of sloppy code. And Uber will need airtight user education to drive, the kind of Botaga understands, right, in what stablecoin is and why it won't just vanish overnight. And speaking of transparency, let me be really crystal clear about our own partnerships. Now, I'm working with Bluefin's crypto exchange, and yes, the link in the description down below is an affiliate link. Clicking it throws a few satoshis my way to help keep the lights on around here, but it doesn't cost you anything extra, not an extra penny, right? Now, if you do end up trading there, thanks for kind of fueling the content engine here, and never forget #1 rule: only invest what you can afford to lose. Now, the affiliate links in the description down below, they're only for specific continents and specific jurisdictions. So if you click it and it doesn't take you to the correct website, unfortunately, you're in the wrong jurisdiction. All right, so time for a bit of a sanity check here, because what if the stablecoin experiment fizzles? Uber's not reckless after all, right? They'll sandbox the feature, roll it out in limited markets, monitor the liquidity, and yank the cord if things go sideways. So let's remember, Uber's self-driving car pilot, they walked away when the math just didn't add up. Now, the company is no stranger to bold bets and fast retests, and yet the momentum feels different right now, right? The economy demands cheaper rails, right? We talk about this a lot on the Cheeky Crypto channel, right? We talk a lot about XRP, Ripple, and their rails that they're building. Now, drivers, they demand faster payments and payouts, right? Regulators demand transparency. Stablecoins, they sit at the kind of Venn diagram sweet spot, if you will. Now, if Uber pulls this off, your rides could become an accidental crypto onboarding ramp, right? Even for your kind of tech adverse aunt who still writes checks at the grocery store, if they even accept them still. So what should we be watching for next? Well, we've got to keep an eye on the pilot programs in markets with favorable regulation. So maybe Singapore, maybe parts of Europe. Look for job postings on Uber's career page that mention blockchain or digital payments. Follow Stripe's next moves as well. And, watch Congress. If the Genius Act gets teeth, well, US giants will kind of sprint towards tokenization. Okay, so final reflection before we park up. Uber's stablecoin interest isn't just a headline. It's a weather vane, right? When the biggest gig economy platform studies a new payment rail, it signals that the era of number go up speculation is giving way to numbers just work utility. So for crypto veterans, it's validation. For newcomers, it's an invitation. Either way, right, the road ahead here is, at least it has just got a fresh layer of asphalt, and it might actually run on code instead of gasoline. Now, if you want to know more about the future of cross-border payments, hop on over to the Cheeky Crypto channel where I talk a lot around Ripple, XRP, and what they are building over there. And if you're looking for price analysis on something like stablecoins, XRP, maybe even a whole host of other altcoins, you're going to want to check out the trading channel. All the links are in the description down below.